Having spent a lifetime as a proper noblewoman and a virtuous empress, only until death, only then did people realize that after 10 years of marriage, I am still a virgin. No matter how hard I try, Xiao Heng's heart will always belong to that Lin Lianyang who died early, so I've been given another shot at life. To help them get what they want, I risked my life to save Lin Wantang from the bandits. Then I gave her a gentle smile and said, "The betrothal banquet has already begun, Miss Lin. If you hurry back now, you'll still make it in time." I straightened my messy skirt as I watched Lin Wantang's retreating figure, letting out a breath of relief. Who would have thought that the first thing I do after being reborn is to save the white moonlight of my past life's husband? Mo Lan sheathed her sword, her expression one of indignation as she said, "That Lady Lin has always loved to oppose you, and she even took away the crown prince. Why would you risk your life to save her, and even give her the carriage?" I was silent for a moment, perhaps because there is still someone waiting for her. In a previous life, Lin Wantang was abducted by thieves and was humiliated for an entire night. She committed suicide on the spot. She missed the betrothal banquet with Xiao Heng. Xiao Heng was in deep mourning, and for 3 days he did not step out of his room, and so I dropped my head in sorrow because of it. Later, on his wedding night with me, he lifted my veil. He did not touch me and said coldly, "Shen Qingzi, you were ruthless and cruel to marry a man who does not love you. Now, are you satisfied and content?" He thought I am the one who killed Lin Wantang for the sake of the concubine throne. I have explained for 10 years, I have proven myself countless times. He doesn't listen, doesn't believe, and doesn't love me. And now, none of this will happen. The two of us, in this life, a man and a woman married to each other, have nothing to do with one another too. When I returned to the mansion, my mother was crying to my father, "Qing Xi's fate is so cruel. Who in the world doesn't know that she was supposed to marry into the Eastern Palace as the Crown Prince's consort? Now look, the position of the Crown Prince's consort has fallen into someone else's hands. What is she going to do?" My aunt is the Grand Empress Dowager Zhuangyi, but the current emperor is close to her in age and is not her biological son. Back then, my aunt helped him seize the Crown Prince's position, and in return, he promised the Shen clan a future of glory and honor. I am the most outstanding in appearance among the sisters of the Shen clan of the same age. Thus, from the age of 7, I was taken to the palace by the Empress Dowager to be raised and educated. I cultivated the 4 virtues and practiced the 6 arts, also that in the future, I could stand by Xiao Heng's side and be his crown princess. Unfortunately, he didn't fancy me. Miss Shen is too calculating and sullen in temperament. I do not find her pleasing. He fancied the second legitimate daughter of Grand Tutor Lin 6 months ago. He pledged a military oath before the emperor and the Empress Dowager for this matter. If he could take the head of the barbarian chieftain, then his marriage to Lin Wantang would be granted. He made it. Emerging from mountains of corpses and seas of blood, he married the one he loved, a perfect match, a beautiful couple. The only one not doing well is me, already 16 and still not engaged. My marriage has become a source of constant worry for my mother. In my previous life, after Lin Wantang died, the position of crown princess fell to me once again. Yet my mother sighed the entire night and said, "I have no way of knowing whether this marriage is a blessing or a curse." By then, I had no room to refuse. The rise and fall of the entire Shen clan, my aunt's expectations, and the heavy weight of the imperial edict, all of it pressed down on me. Thinking of this, I stepped forward and gave a faint smile. Mother does not need to worry about her daughter. I have already made other plans for this matter. He remarried. I also have someone I wish to marry. 3 The next morning, I accompanied my mother to the jewelry shop. She wiped away her tears and said, "My Qingzi is blessed with such exquisite beauty. Don't you worry, your mother will find you a fine husband." She hadn't taken what I said the night before to heart. She was convinced that I had been infatuated with Xiao Heng, and that losing him must have left me heartbroken. I also did not tell her the person I want to marry. If I did tell her, she would probably faint on the spot in fright. Not long after entering the shop, the butler summoned us, saying something happened at the mansion. Mother did not allow me to follow, and took 2 maidservants and went back first. I could only idly start looking at the jewelry, but just as I picked up a pair of purple jade lotus earrings, another voice rang out, "Royal brother, I want those earrings. I looked toward the sound. It was Xiao Heng's younger sister, Princess Ningen. She shot me a glare. This princess saw this first. With her willful and spoiled temperament, she had caused me no small amount of trouble across both this life and the previous one, but every time, Xiao Heng just stood by and watched coldly. Shen Qingzi, in this world, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Now that I've secured the position of empress, these humiliations and grievances are mine to bear. I've really endured it my entire life, diligently and conscientiously managing the imperial harem, striving to be a virtuous and dignified empress in the end. In both the court and the harem, apart from those two siblings, no one had a single bad word to say about me. I suppose that in this life of mine, even without love, in the annals of history after my death, there should still be a line of praise to my name. Yet Ningen ruined it all. She stood by my sickbed and, feigning carelessness, lifted my sleeve, pointed at the cinnabar mark on my arm, and said, "You've been married to His Majesty for 10 years, sister-in-law. How is it that you're still a virgin even on your deathbed?" In an instant, the hall fell into chaos. The imperial consorts and maids all looked at me with disdain at that moment. Xiao Heng stood right there beside me. Upon hearing this, he lowered his gaze, let go of my sleeve, and covered that small red mark in the end. He even tucked the corner of my blanket for me. I looked back at him indifferently, with no trace of affection left in my eyes, nor any intention to defend myself. He was stunned for a moment, then abruptly closed his eyes, no longer looking at me, and only said softly, "This woman Shen is unworthy of being a wife, married for 10 years. I have blocked his blades and endured 1,000-mile marches for him. I took in 4 concubines for him, and welcomed beauties. He has 2 sons and a daughter by his knee. I treat them all as my own, teaching them with care. In the end, I am not worthy to be his wife. The past is like a dream that has faded, and at this moment, I no longer pander or show deference to Ningen as I did before. I look at the shopkeeper in front of me and say, 'Ignore her, I came first, sell it to me.'" Hearing this, Xiao Heng, standing to the side, furrowed his brows imperceptibly. Ningen, furious, scolds, "Shen Qingzi, how dare you speak to me like this? Fortunately, the person the emperor favors is Miss Wanting, not you. Otherwise, someone as you are would not be worthy to be a concubine to the crown prince." Such petty tricks. As she spoke, she reached out to grab the pair of earrings. Just then, Xiao Heng finally spoke, his voice clear and gentle. "Ningen, put it down." Ningen was not willing to give in, coquettishly saying, "No, I want to give this to elder sister Wanting. She loves this style of earrings the most." If it were in the past, Xiao Heng would have already agreed, but this time, his face sank, and he repeated it again, "Let it go." For Ningen, feeling humiliated, threw a couple of harsh words at me and then left without looking back. In the sunny March spring, orioles sang freely. I glanced at the bluestone alley in the distance. Unlike before, I didn't take the chance to speak with Xiao Heng to win his favor. Instead, I clutched the earbobs and was about to turn and leave, but it didn't hurt. It would be stopped by Xiao Heng. He stared at me for a long time, then he spoke. "The matter from that day, Wantang has already told me." She was startled and hasn't recovered yet. "Tomorrow, I will accompany her to your door to thank you. Throughout many lifetimes, this is the first time he has spoken to me calmly with a pleasant face. How rare this is. It seems that his likes and dislikes are all connected to Lin Wanting. I saved Lin Wanting. He treated me as his benefactor, but in my past life, he suspected me of killing Lin Wantang and refused to treat me kindly for the rest of his life." Thinking of this, I shook my head. There's no need. If this matter gets out, it would harm Miss Lin's reputation. It's better that no one else knows about it. But both he and I know full well he never had any intention of coming to thank me in person. If he truly did, he would have come yesterday. His claims of feeling unwell are nothing but excuses. What's more, if I actually brought this up to others, he would find a way to twist the truth and turn things around. All I wanted today was to hear you guarantee in person that you won't spread this. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Xiao Heng's furrowed brow relaxed, and his sense of guilt toward me grew even more genuine. "Shen Qingzi," he said, "I have wronged you before." Oh, what he spoke of was the act of breaking off the engagement that had washed my face in ashes. I said, He isn't a talkative person. Usually, I would say 10 sentences to him, and he would only reply with one. Not even a single glance is spared for me at this moment. As I fall silent, he takes the initiative to speak. Once more, I have heard that your marriage prospects are encountering obstacles. I can arrange a good match for you. His voice falters slightly at this point. A woman's youth is fleeting. There's no need for you to set your heart on me any longer. At this time in my past life, I really liked him. Even to say a few more words with him, I secretly had someone bring him beloved ancient books. Unfortunately, he tossed them aside as soon as I turned my head. Thinking of this, I looked up. Besides you, who else should I marry? The man nodded. You have shown kindness to W.N. Tang, and thus you are also my benefactor. As for your future husband, I will do my utmost to support him in his official career. The implication was clear. Even if he turned out to be a street peddler or a laborer, a poor scholar or a scion of a noble family, it matters not. As long as I like him, he will help me. Ah, but, Your Highness, what I want is to be your sister-in-law. 5. After being reborn, I have thought it over carefully. As a daughter of the Shun family, if I'm not getting married, this is simply a fool's dream. But mother is right. With Xiao Heng around, not to mention Xingjing, even the entire world, no one would dare marry me. Oh, except for one person, Xiao Heng's elder brother, Prince Jing, Xiao Dingyuan. Speaking of this Prince Jing, his background is rather awkward. His birth mother was only a laundress, and he had not been favored by the emperor since childhood, was made a prince while still a minor, and sent to the northern border. But if I remember correctly, a few days ago he happened to return to Xingjing. He is almost 20 and still not married. After entering the capital, he had discussions with the granddaughter of the Ministry of Rights Vice Minister and the eldest daughter of the Marquis of Chengping about an engagement, yet both refused for different reasons. In the end, we had to leave the capital in a sorry state. Our situations are truly too similar. Why wouldn't it be a good match? But I didn't tell Xiao Heng about these plans. Why would he ever take my matters to heart? Finding a husband for me was probably just empty talk, but I hadn't expected. The next day, he actually cornered me at the tea house. He handed me a booklet. Take a look. I took it and found that it was thick, detailing the families and lives of more than 10 men, even writing down how many rooms of concubines they had in their backyard. More importantly, I recognized the handwriting on the top. It was Xiao Heng's. I looked up, quite surprised to see him. I wasn't quite expecting that he would have the patience to do something like this himself, but, just in a moment of thought, I figured it out. This is him repaying Lin Wantong's kindness. He is naturally willing to put in the effort. He had chosen them carefully. Among these men, after Xiao Heng ascended the throne, every single one went on to become a marquis or a chancellor, rising swiftly in the world. Outside the window, the drifting clouds were as splendid as brocade. I put down the booklet in my hand and had to speak to him plainly. I don't want to marry any of these people. Of course, most of them wouldn't want to marry me anyway. Xiao Heng was stunned for a moment, his lips pressing together slightly. Could it be that you look down on these people because you still have feelings for me? Before he could finish his sentence, a commotion broke out downstairs. I glanced over to the side. I just saw a young man in a black robe stoop to pick up the wedding invitation on the ground. Expressionless opposite him, a page wore a troubled look. My lord, my lady is unwell and truly cannot see you today. This marriage arrangement, I'm afraid, won't work. I glanced at the plaque on the opposite manor, the Marquis of Pingping. It seems this is already his second rejection. Turning my thoughts back, I heard a trace of light laughter spill from Xiao Heng's throat. Perhaps it was after we sat opposite each other and shared a cup of tea. When he spoke to me, there was a bit more sincerity. My elder brother, this emperor, is of a terrible temper, cold and ruthless. If anyone dares to marry him, I would have to look at that person with fresh eyes. Upon hearing this, I was about to retort when, unexpectedly, Xiao Dingyuan downstairs suddenly lifted his head. In that instant when our eyes met, I curved my lips and gave him a gentle smile. 6. After returning to the capital, I let Mo Lan deliver a letter. In the letter I told Xiao Dingyuan at midnight tonight, 10 li outside the city, there is a mass graveyard where he can get what he wants. After saying that, I thought for a moment and added another sentence. Meeting at the tea house for the first time, We felt like old friends. I look forward to your success. When Molan saw that, she nearly bit her own tongue. Miss. Although this Prince Jing has fallen on hard times, I've heard that he's ruthless and not someone to be trifled with. I laughed, I know. But for now, he is also my only retreat. He did not betray my expectations. The next day, when my father returned from the capital, I heard him say, "The Crown Prince found a long-lost treasure map in the mass grave last night. His Majesty was greatly pleased with him and immediately bestowed him with many rewards. This prince is not simple. This treasure map was obtained by the Xiao clan ancestors when they conquered the land. It has been hundreds of years since it was passed down to the present it could have, but it was stolen by someone 2 years ago and left outside. This matter has always been a thorn in the emperor's heart. Xiao Heng has investigated it for a long time and spent a lot of effort in the previous life. The person who found this picture was actually him. But now, I've beaten him to it and handed it over to someone else at this very moment. I can already imagine just how unpleasant his expression will be." That night I finally saw Xiao Dingyuan. He stood outside the window, no longer the embarrassment of the daytime, in black clothes. With a slender, stoic bearing he asked me, the daughter of the Shen family, born into a lineage of upright officials, renowned throughout the land, "Why would you help me?" I smiled. "Was I not clear enough? I've taken a liking to you, and I want to marry you." His expression remained cold, with a faint trace of mockery. "Don't you like Xiao Heng?" It seemed he also knew about the troublesome things I had done before. I looked him straight in the eye. "Those romantic attachments don't matter to me anymore. I will marry you, and you will take me away from Shengjing. From now on, I will do whatever I want, and you cannot control me. Deal?" "Of course, if you happen to fall for a girl you like, when the time comes, we can get a divorce as well." Upon hearing this, Xiao Dingyuan stared at me, his eyes dark and inscrutable. "Stealing my younger brother's woman? What kind of person do you think I am? Change the requirement." I looked at him. "We won't change it." 7. Xiao Dingyuan's reaction was as I expected. If he agrees at once with a single word, that would be abnormal. Not long after, a Kuju match was held in the palace. In my past life, I came together with Xiao Heng, but at that moment, he had just lost Lin Wantang, his whole person gloomy to the point of frightening, and when he saw me, he didn't show the slightest good face. And this time, I had just sat down for a while. Then a maid came over and handed me a cloak. "Today the wind is strong. My lady has one more. I gift it to you." I raised my eyes and saw Lin Wantang. She smiled at me, a hint of courtesy in her eyes. I have sparred with her for so long, I never thought that, one day, she would show me such an expression. Beside her stood Xiao Heng, whom I hadn't seen for several days. He remained dignified and gentle. He also gave me a light nod. In this state, one could hardly tell at all that he had just been robbed of the astonishing feats. "We have been married for many years. I understand him. The more still and quiet he is, the more uncomfortable he must be inside." Upon thinking of this, I felt somewhat exhilarated. Xiao Dingyuan has also come, has been following the emperor all along. I heard the noblewoman beside me quietly teasing the long princess of the peaceful era. "This king of Jin is so beautiful, and he has just achieved a great feat. So what do you think? Refuse his marriage? Would you regret it or not?" Hearing this, I didn't listen any longer. I lowered my head and ate 2 pieces of cake. Of course, no one really pays me any attention. They're all eager to keep their distance from me. The former crown prince's consort, for fear of incurring Lin Wantong's resentment. But when I looked up again, my eyes met Xiao Dingyuan's gaze. He was staring at me intently. His hand rested on the jade pendant at his waist. One by one, the swaying was a bit dizzying. In this Kuju match, Xiao Heng did not take the field. Instead, it was Xiao Dingyuan who came out on top and stole the show. 8. Everything was going smoothly. But just as I was about to leave, something happened. A few spoiled young men, having lost a game of Kuju, were in a foul mood and gathered together to talk about the young ladies of Shengjing City. When they mentioned me, their words were especially harsh. "This Shen Qingxi is truly a national beauty. It's a pity that His Highness doesn't fancy her. In my opinion, she won't be able to find a husband in the future, and she's already offended the future crown princess. How about we go have some fun with her?" Brother Qin speaks with reason. She used to be so arrogant. In her eyes only the crown prince looking down on people like us. Now, she probably hopes we'll run into her. Haha. Unfortunately, I happened to be passing by and heard everything, but before I could show myself, someone kicked over the table in front of them and knocked out one of their front teeth. If you let Gu listen to such words again, you're done for. It's actually Xiao Heng. Seeing this scene, for a moment I felt it was somehow ridiculous. In a previous life, I was his wife, but he has never helped me. Now we have no relationship at all, yet he runs over to vouch for me. He has spent many years in the court, planning behind the scenes, and he wouldn't be unaware of what it means to do such a thing in an occasion like this. He could have just ignored it. It is truly fate toying with people. The crown prince-to-be in the eyes of everyone struck someone in public. When this matter reached the emperor's ears, he was so furious that he slammed the finger tool in his hand against Xiao Heng's temple. Have you no sense of shame? It seems to me that you, the crown prince, are having far too easy a time. Yet when the emperor asked for the reason, Xiao Heng refused to utter a single word at that moment. Xiao Dingyuan was walking past me. He wore a faint, ambiguous smile. In order not to be criticized by others, he even swallowed this kind of hidden loss. Shen Qingji, are you truly willing to abandon him and marry me? Actually, in my past life I once had 2 encounters with Xiao Dingyuan. The first scene is similar to the current one. At that time, he himself had just been rejected in marriage and had become a laughingstock in others' eyes. When others suspected that I had harmed Lin Wantang, there was only him who spoke up for me, caught a thief and recovered the loot. Yet not a shred of evidence. On what basis do you slander a good girl with your empty mouths? The second meeting was half a year before my death. Xiao Dingyuan was nearly 30, still alone. He went to the palace to report on his duties and happened to stumble upon me coughing up blood in the imperial floral garden. I have long been worried, and it ended in illness and death. Before that, my body was already not well. Xiao Dingyuan silently handed me a piece of silk handkerchief. He said, I will keep your secret. The palace walls are deep. I am languishing here. What about the empress? Do you find it satisfying? I am not pleased, yet at this moment, I still have a choice. The wind stirs my skirt, letting it entwine with the corners of his robe. I look up at him and smile. Very, very softly I say, and you, do you dare to marry me? 2 days later, Xiao Dingyuan entered the palace and obtained an imperial edict granting the marriage. No one knew why he had suddenly changed his mind, willing to snatch my younger brother. Women having taken the imperial decree, my father is very calm. He asked me, have you decided? I nodded. It was my mother who nearly fainted. Why are you putting yourself through this? Even if he has gained some favor with the emperor recently, in the future, once the crown prince ascends the throne, I comforted my mother, your daughter is not afraid. Besides, who can say what will happen in the future with any certainty? At this moment, Xiao Heng was in the East Palace, closing the doors to reflect on his misdeeds. No one could see him at all. I began to focus wholeheartedly on preparing for marriage. On April 12th, I went to a temple, seeing that she is about to be married and leave Shengjing, Peking. Before that, I must come to offer a visit, grateful for the compassion of Amitabha, allowing a believing woman to live another life. When I donated incense and oil money, I heard someone mention Xiao Heng, saying that today his confinement had been lifted. I didn't pay attention, and I led Mo Lan down the mountain, but halfway there, I suddenly heard the sound of sharp arrows breaking through the air. I lifted the sedan chair curtain. With just one glance, I recognized them as the very same outlaws from that day. Mo Lan was already wounded and on the verge of losing consciousness. The other side had come prepared, and step by step, I was forced toward the edge of the cliff. At the moment I fell, however, someone caught me around the waist, braced a sword against the cliffside, and slowly carried me down toward the bottom of the precipice. He looked down at me, his throat bobbing. Hold on tight. In the face of life and death, nothing else mattered. I did as he said and held him. Xiao Heng, Xiao Heng, he will probably never know. In a previous life, he hated me drawing near me. I clearly remember that once I merely brushed against his wrist by accident, and he exploded in anger. Forget it, I will never touch you in this lifetime. 10. Upon reaching the base of the cliff, I thanked Xiao Heng. He said, consider this as repaying your kindness. I pressed my lips together and recounted the origins of these bandits from beginning to end. A flicker of discomfort crossed Xiao Heng's expression. In that case, the words he had just spoken seemed like a joke. That I am facing this ordeal today is precisely because I saved Lin Wanting the other day. If you really think about it, they owe me another one. The air fell silent in an instant, and I asked about Mo Lan. Did you see her when you came over? So many people, she must be afraid. Her solitary guard has already rescued her. But this cliff is too high. They came looking for her, but it will take some effort. I breathed a sigh of relief. Xiao Heng gathered some firewood and started a fire. We sit in one place. Then I notice that his arm has a cut along a seam. The depth is visible to the bone, but up to now, he has not uttered a single word. I thought about it for a moment, and finally got up to fetch some herbs and laid them on him. He turned his head sideways, silently staring at me. After a long while, he suddenly smiled. I had heard that Mistress Shen is skilled in medicine. I even thought you were exaggerating to gain fame. More than that, in this life and the next. His misunderstandings of me are countless. I didn't mind. I've only read some medical books. The Empress Dowager is not a pedantic or worldly person. Besides sending people to teach me poetry, books, and palace rules, she also lets me learn some things I personally like. The wind was strong, blowing our robes and robes with a rustling sound. He added a few sticks of firewood and handed me his outer robe. I did not take it. He narrowed his eyes and suddenly said, "Actually, I dreamed of you last night." In just a moment, I understood the reason he would appear here today. I looked up, and his face reflected in my eyes. He has a pair of affectionate eyes. When he looks at people, he always gives a strong impression of being very focused. In the previous life, after he looked at many concubines in the harem like this, those consorts were all uniquely enchanting, possessing stunning beauty that could overthrow cities and realms, yet they shared one common trait, whether in voice, appearance, or the way they walked. There was always something about them that resembled Lin Wantang, and now, the man is looking at me like this. The look in his eyes was the same as back then, yet somehow different. His voice faltered slightly, then he quickly looked away, as if finding it hard to speak. I dreamed of our wedding night. At that point, he abruptly stopped. I spoke casually. You said it yourself, Your Highness. It was nothing but a dream. 11. In the next hour, Xiao Heng and I sat opposite each other, but no one spoke up voluntarily until the sound of footsteps came from the other side. I was about to stand up, when someone grabbed my arm with a tight grip by the fire. Xiao Heng's expression was focused and serious. He said, "Your marriage is difficult. It is my fault. Are you willing to wait for me for 2 years? When Wantan gives birth to a legitimate son, I will welcome you into the family." I was stunned. It seems he still does not know. The emperor has already arranged a marriage between me and Xiao Dingyuan. If it were my past life, without the memories of what came later, I might have agreed. After all, as a concubine of the crown prince, when he ascends the throne, I would at least become one of the 4 consorts, not counting as humiliating me. Moreover, back then, I truly and sincerely liked him. However, at this moment, before I could refuse, another voice came through with a hint of mockery and a trace of displeasure. "Your Highness the Crown Prince. No matter what, Qingxi is still your future sister-in-law. Isn't it a bit inappropriate for you to be pulling and shoving like this?" As soon as the words fell, Xiao Heng's expression darkened abruptly. His force grew stronger. "What does this mean, future Empress consort?" I brushed off Xiao Heng's hand and looked him straight in the eye. Word by word, "Your Highness, Jing Wang and I will be getting married next month. Are you happy for me?" Xiao Heng stood in place, unable to speak for a long time until he saw me and Xiao Dingyuan standing side by side. Only then did he almost grit his teeth and say, "Joy." 12. Xiao Dingyuan is returning to the north. The wedding date was set very hastily. Looking back at Xiao Heng and Lin Wantang, the Empress consulted the Tianjin Bureau over and over and chose a good day for them. Half a year later, I have visited the harem and met the Empress Dowager a few times. She pulled me and kept sighing. "Originally I hoped to bring you into the palace to accompany your Lao, to accompany Mai. There were 2 times when Xiao Heng was also present. We spoke very little. His expression when facing me was more solemn than ever, and even more unfathomable. The Empress Dowager said to me, 'Have you 2 been up to something sordid again?' She knew full well that I had saved Lin Wantang. Mo Lan is a martial maid sent to me by the Empress Dowager. I shook my head. No, the Empress Dowager pondered for a moment. Could it be that he regrets it and has developed feelings for you? At that point, she looked a bit troubled. Forget it, since you're both already married, I won't dwell on this any further. I just hope that with his temperament, even if he does take a liking to someone, it doesn't cause any trouble. Before the wedding, Lin Wantang hosted a flower viewing banquet. She sent me an invitation. I attended the banquet as promised in a place where no one could see. She solemnly kowtowed to me twice. Your Highness, I've looked into those bandits. They were people my father once crossed paths with while investigating a case. I never thought they'd come to resent you as well. But don't worry, they won't trouble you again. Hearing this, I was taken aback. You've already figured it out. Lin Wantang nodded. Yes, after I returned. I always felt that one of the person's features looked familiar, so I drew it up and entrusted Your Highness to investigate. Moreover, even if I didn't draw it, as long as there is a will, there will always be another way to find out clearly. 6. Lady Lin has a superb skill in painting and calligraphy. In her past life, after she died, because of Xiao Heng, her paintings spread like wildfire in Shengjing, drawing nobles and dignitaries to flock to them. Her paintings fetch a high price every time they're sold. More people will curse me. Envious, with a heart like a viper. I've heard words like these countless times in my previous life. After learning of this, my mother often regretted it and said that I had married the wrong man. Not long after, she passed away. As for me, it took a very, very long time to dispel those rumors and restore my reputation. Right at this moment, blue sky and bright daylight, a clear universe, I couldn't help feeling a little moved to tears. So it turns out it was this simple. But in the previous life, no one would believe me. 13. Xiao Heng was busy with official duties and did not attend the banquet. In the middle of the banquet, a maid came over to tell me, my master invites you to the garden to take a stroll and unwind. As soon as I looked, I realized Lin Wantang really wasn't at the table. I thought she might have forgotten to tell me something earlier, so, without suspecting anything, I followed along. But the moment I stepped into the garden, someone dumped a bucket of cold water on me. My clothes were soaked through in an instant. I looked up and saw Princess Ningen. She looked down on me with a cold sneer. Imperial brother has been rather cold to Sister Wn Tang lately. This princess heard that you spent several hours together with him at the bottom of the cliff. Was that your doing? Sister Wantang is generous and magnanimous. I won't hold it against you, but I must properly teach you a lesson on her behalf. I grit my teeth. What business do you have meddling in the affairs of an engaged couple? Do you have feelings for Lin Wantang or Xiao Heng? At that point, I raised an eyebrow, but it seems either option is pretty heretical. Ningen, provoked by me, rushed over to slap me in the face, but in the next instant, her wrist was caught by someone. Leave. Ningen paused. Imperial brother. Xiao Heng frowned. In a few days the foreign delegation will come to request a marriage, and the candidate for the harmonious princess hasn't been decided yet. If you keep acting like this, I'll send you away. Ningen was frightened and fled, crawling away. Only after the surroundings fell quiet did Xiao Heng's gaze fall on me. A trace of anger flashed in his eyes. There was something that was hard to explain or make clear. This matter, I will give you an explanation. I nodded. He looked at me, wanting to speak but hesitating. Recently you. Before he could finish his sentence, Lin Wantang hurried over. She took me to change clothes. When I left, I could feel a look lingering on me. 14. Not long after the chosen match was decided, it was Princess Ningen. When I heard she had left the capital, Xiao Heng stood on the city tower all night. After that, we met a few more times, but we never spoke. He nodded at me and smiled. I never cared about him either. That day, in the Empress Dowager's palace again, he must have gone insane for some reason, and he spoke of wanting to hear Ping Sho Luo Yang. All of Jinling knew. My strongest suit is a song called Ping Sho Luo Yang. In the past, I used to play often as well, but he had never heard me play a complete piece. Not once. When his words fell, I remained silent, and after a while, I feigned illness and left. But not far from the palace gate, Xiao Heng called me back. Ningen has been sent away by me. She has already paid the price for what she has done. Shen Qingxi, are you still unwilling to speak with me? I look back and turn to the man not far away, look toward the man whom I had once wrongfully given my entire life to. These days, with my help, Xiao Dingyuan has caused him no small amount of trouble. He looks somewhat weary. I wonder how he even finds the time to come and pay his respects to the Dowager Empress every day. I said, there is nothing to say between His Highness and me. He curled his lips. Do you really have to marry him? I nodded. He chuckled. Do you know what people out there are saying about you too? I said I did. They say Xiao Dingyuan picked up the woman Xiao Heng rejected, and I picked up Xiao Dingyuan, who was turned away at the door by daughters of two noble houses. I said, so what? Xiao Heng let out a heavy sigh. He looked at me. After a long while, he spoke slowly. Just go ahead and get married. You may not care about these matters, but I do. In less than 2 days, I heard that several storytellers were ordered not to mention this matter again. There were a few who spoke harshly, and they were tongued. 15 When I got married, the ceremony was very grand. Xiao Heng gave away a lot of things. Even outsiders were somewhat surprised. These two brothers clearly were at odds, yet Xiao Heng was so generous with his actions. The efforts of Xiao Dingyuan in these days have not been in vain. On our wedding day, the emperor granted him a writ of exemption from death. Everyone with discerning eyes knows who this is defending against, but unexpectedly, Xiao Heng's expression wasn't displeased. He simply and very calmly attended the grand wedding, but that night, when he returned to the Eastern Palace, he violently coughed up a mouthful of blood. Even he himself could not make it clear exactly why, and soon after, I went north with Xiao Dingyuan. When we left, Xiao Heng had been sick for more than 10 days and had never left the Eastern Palace. Not long after reaching the north, a new emperor ascended the throne. I asked Xiao Dingyuan, do you want that position? He said, sitting in that position means being forced by fate. I don't like it. Surprisingly, Xiao Heng did not marry Lin Wantang. Instead, he betrothed her to someone else. That person, as it happens, rings a bell. That very name appeared in the booklet Xiao Heng had written earlier. I vaguely recall that the back courtyard of this person's home was very quiet, and the household rules were not particularly strict. It could be considered a good place to settle down. 2 months after Xiao Heng ascended the throne, memorials urging him to appoint an empress and expand the harem had piled up like a mountain. After Xiao Dingyuan learned of this, he also submitted a token memorial. Half a month later, the emperor approved it. Get lost. Xiao Dingyuan clicked his tongue in annoyance and said with a smile, he's also strange. Before, for that Lin Luniang, he was desperate to the death. Now, if he says he won't marry, he won't marry. But in the next moment, he couldn't help but burst into laughter because it was sent together with that receipt. There was also a letter from Shen Qingzi personally. It was made clear that it was for me. 16 I opened this letter under the lamp. The first line, he said, Your Majesty the Empress, I never imagined that the hardships of these past days were all inflicted by you. Just this sentence. My hand trembled, nearly lost composure. Xiao Heng has also regained memories of his past life. The second sentence, he said, never mind, none of this matters anymore. Finally, he asked me, are you safe? I burned this letter to ashes. It didn't take long for me to notice that every time Xiao Dingyuan went out, he would come back covered in injuries. I was furious. I immediately thought, who did this? But before I could confront Xiao Heng to get to the bottom of it, a war broke out in Shurobei. I spend my days tending to the wounded. At the same time, Xiao Dingyuan and I are growing more in tune with each other. He said to me, actually, do you remember, when you were 7, you gave me a bottle of Jinchuang medicine and a plate of pastries? I froze, searching in my memory for a long time. Only then did I remember that indeed there was such a thing. I remember that boy used to always fight with people. So pitiful. He looked extremely frail at that time. I had just entered the palace and, being raised by my mother to be overly compassionate, I secretly gave him some wound medicine and pastries. Snapping back to the present, I looked at him. It's you. No wonder he had spoken up for me and defended me in my past life. 17 That day, I had just returned to my tent and was about to light a candle but was suddenly interrupted by a voice. His voice was heavy and low. There is no need to light a candle. I have something to ask you. The surroundings were pitch black. I sit down and say, go ahead, I am about to take you with me now. Are you willing? After we returned to the palace, I will reassign you a new identity. I say, I am not willing. He suddenly stands up, voice hoarse, Shinchingzi, 10 years as husband and wife. Do you have no more affection for me at the end? In that instant, I was a bit dazed, I don't know why, but I subconsciously felt the question he wanted to ask before I died in my past life was actually the same one. I said, no. The next moment, someone seized my shoulders. I shall ask you once more, not even half a trace. I repeat, no. In the next moment, he smiled slightly. You probably do not know yet that this battle was a great victory. The Prince of Jing is on his way back, and I ordered men to set an ambush at his must-pass path. If you agreed to return with me, perhaps you could spare his death. Hearing this, my gaze briefly turned fierce, and after removing the hairpin from my head, I was about to stab it into his neck. Xiaoheng, do you have to be like this? After I was reborn, I saved Lin Wantang for you, and I remarried far to the north. I have already done this much. Why do you have to treat me this way? He spoke coldly. You are willing to kill me for him. Tears welled in my eyes. Yes. I've wanted to do this for a long time. In this life, he is my true husband. Yet, as these words fell, I heard a sigh. He raised his hand and wiped the tears from my face. Enough, I was just scaring you. After he left, I sat there for a long time. Only then did I light the candle. I thought about the words he had said before leaving. There's no ambush. I was just messing with you. I brought you quite a bit of gold, silver, and land deeds on this trip. Also, the Grand Empress Dowager asked me to find out when you'll return to visit her. 18 In the second year of marrying Xiao Dingyuan, I became pregnant. He was so overjoyed he wanted to announce it to the whole world. After giving birth, we went back to Shenyang together. I visited the imperial palace. The Empress Dowager told me, Xiaoheng often went to see her. It's just a pity that you already have children. While he has so many women in his harem but not a single offspring, many people are suspicious the emperor is ill, he can't have children. When I left the palace gates, I looked back instinctively, and at the corner, I caught a glimpse of a bright yellow hem. I let out a sigh. I continued to move further outward. This person, for the rest of their life, we probably won't meet more than a few times outside the palace gates. Xiao Dingyuan is waiting for me. I walk toward him. He smiles at me. Qingzi, it is the prime of spring. Feelings can be entrusted, but the past is gone. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away. What follows is even more exciting. By nature, I am an extremely death-fearing survivalist, yet by some twist of fate, I was reborn into the family of the most upright and unyielding censor-in-chief in the entire capital. Father is notorious for being stubborn. To remonstrate the emperor even unto death, he had already bought a coffin in advance and placed it in the hall. Anyang is a valiant daughter of a loyal military family, always ready to take up her sword and charge into battle, willing to die on the battlefield for the greater good of the nation. Big brother spends his days impeaching nobles and making enemies everywhere, while second brother, in order to defend an isolated city, vows to live or die with it. I'm the only coward who dug 10 escape tunnels at home and even wears 3 layers of soft armor to sleep. I sleep every night with a map of escape routes in my arms, always suspecting I've been mistreated by this group of lunatics who are ready to chop off my head at any moment. Until today, a noble feeling. Lone girl arrived at the door with half a blood-stained letter, claiming she is the true eldest daughter of the censorate's household. I was so excited I nearly kowtowed to her on the spot. I knew it. What kind of person hides under the bed at the sound of thunder? How could I possibly be the flesh and blood of a bunch of reckless loyal ministers like these? Let's get the blood kinship test done right away. I can't go on living another day under this constant threat of the whole family being executed. 1. Where's the bowl of water? Where's the needle? I am more proactive than anyone else, snatching the tray from the servant's hands. Dad, hurry, please come quickly. Dad walked over, his gaze complex as he looked at Shuanghua. Dad pricked his finger, a drop of blood falling into the bowl. Frosthua also bit her finger and pricked it. Everyone stared intently at the small white porcelain bowl. 2 drops of blood slowly drew closer in the water, then perfectly merged into one. It worked. Great. I turned around and ran, sprinting back to the room in 3 steps, shouldering the 3 big bundles that I had already packed. Shuanghua was stunned as well. She didn't expect this development. Susan, what are you doing? Moving houses. I stuffed the list of the warehouse keys, the legitimate daughter's talisman, and 36 sets of four-season clothes all into her hands. By the way, this is for you. I handed her a yellowed little booklet. Shuanghua looked down and saw a guide to avoiding death at the Imperial Censorate. The first page read, Father submits a death memorial once a month, 3 days in advance. He buys a new coffin. As soon as you see the coffin, immediately run to the tunnel in the back courtyard. Shuanghua was dumbfounded, ignoring her. I hoisted the bundle over my shoulder and stepped out the front gate. Then, a pair of hands tightly clamped around my legs. It's Dad, the Grand Justice of Imperial Halls, a veteran of 4 dynasties, hugged my little legs and wailed, Sweetheart. Daddy is sorry for you. It's my fault. Dad, I couldn't give you a stable home, and you've suffered unfairly. You can't leave. If you walk, it'll cost Dad his life. I kick away my leg. Dad, let go. I really want to leave. I'm doing this voluntarily. War, the more you say that, the more it hurts Daddy. A loud rumble. Mother rushes out wielding the azure dragon halberd, and with a single strike she shatters the doorframe. Whoever dares to drive away my 16-year-old daughter, I will cut them down. Auntie, calm down. No one is forcing me. I'm running away on my own. Shuanghua's face turned completely dark. She gave a cold laugh. Fine, very well. I'm going to report this to the authorities right now. Report to the authorities. Wouldn't that alarm the Emperor? Once the Emperor takes notice of the censorate, given how often Father usually submits impeachment memorials against him, our entire family would likely be packed off to the Imperial prison before the night is over. Terrified, I quickly grabbed Shuanghua's arm. Don't go to the authorities. What he's saying is right. You are the true eldest daughter of the family. This home is yours. The money is yours. It's all yours. The eldest and second brothers just happened to come back. The eldest brother patted his chest. One is my own biological sister. The other is my sister I raised for 16 years. We will keep both of them. Second brother directly grabbed my burden and forcibly opened it, and then 10 gin of sleeping powder, 5 sets of night clothes, 3 copies of Survival Guide for the Wilderness, and a homemade first aid kit scattered all over the ground with a clatter. Mother's eyes reddened. Nan has packed clothes for the night in advance. This is planning to go begging. I was pushed back into the room in a flurry and hurry too in the middle of the night. At the 3rd watch and a quarter, all the lights in the whole prefecture are out. I groped in the dark to lift the hidden door under the bed and crawled into tunnel No. 3. I dug this tunnel for 3 years, straight to the ruined temple in the east of the city. With the exit hidden under the buttocks of the statue, I dragged my small bundle and crawled 20 steps. When a light suddenly lit up ahead, Frostflower crouched at the corner of the tunnel, expressionless, staring at me. Got you. How did you find this place? Your book The Guide to Surviving Death, page 37 says, entrance to tunnel No. 3 is under the bed. Recommended for rainy days. Footprints are hard to leave. Su Mingxi. Sneaking around in the middle of the night, are you trying to make off with the censorate's family assets? I am not. Shuanghua yanked open my bundle. Rations, wound medicine, antidote pills, 3 candles, and a handmade simple gas mask. Shuanghua was stunned for a moment, then she called the whole family over. Her father held up a candlestick, looking at the neatly stacked survival supplies in the tunnel as tears streamed down his aged face. Her mother picked up the gas mask, hands trembling. Look, these stitches were sewn by our girl herself. The elder brother squatted down and counted item by item, wound medicine, antidote pills, tourniquets, all life-saving supplies, not a single valuable thing. Mother suddenly burst into tears. Our girl knew the house could be raided at any moment. She prepared these provisions in advance for us to flee a famine. She didn't even take any money when she ran off herself, left it all for us. Shuanghua stood by, her entire worldview shattering into pieces. She looked at my father, who was crying uncontrollably, then at me, who looked utterly done with life. Is this whole family mentally ill or something? That evening, Father made a decision. To prevent me from swallowing my pride and going out on the streets, he had eldest brother gather some men that very night and pour concrete into the first 5 tunnels in the courtyard. I squatted in the yard, watching the concrete fill up my escape routes. and felt myself being sealed in bit by bit as well. The No. 3 tunnel. I dug for 3 years. The No. 4 tunnel. I dug for 2 years. The No. 5 tunnel. I specially invited skilled workers to help reinforce it. All of it is gone. My tears flowed, but in everyone's eyes, this is the tear of being moved by cherishing family. Mother held me and said a sentence that sent a chill down my spine. Nan Nan, after Dad goes to die in protest tomorrow, if you still want to dig a tunnel, I'll help you dig it. I don't need you to dig for me. I want you all to stop offering futile remonstrances. When Shuanghua left, she paused for a moment at the door. Su Mingshi, sooner or later I will see through your little trick of retreating in order to advance. Frost Shine, won't you expose me already, please? Just expose me and let me leave. But she only gave a cold laugh and left. The tunnel was gone. Pretend to be ill, start slacking off tomorrow. 3. The plan to feign illness lasted only 3 days before Mother forced me back to my senses with a bowl of ginseng soup, because the emperor is hosting a palace banquet and has specifically summoned the 2 daughters of the censorate to attend too, including me and also Shuanghua. At the palace banquet, the imperial consort smiled as if she were a flower, but everyone could see that the smile was full of blades. I heard there's a new daughter in the censorate. How unusual. Shuanghua and I were sitting side by side. Shuanghua suddenly spoke up. Your Grace, this daughter here is the true heiress of the censorate. The one beside her is merely someone who was raised for 16 years. She deliberately paused for a moment. She wants to embarrass me in front of the imperial noble consort and make the emperor despise me, so that she can rightfully kick me out of the censorate mansion. Your Highness is absolutely right. I stood up and knocked over my own wine glass in one swift motion. I am just a boorish country woman, ill-mannered and barely literate. Why, just yesterday, I even sneaked half a roast chicken from the censor's kitchen. I am as timid as a mouse, frightened of bugs, snakes, and thunder. Last time I saw a cockroach, I was so terrified I jumped down from the 2nd floor. The noble ladies present quickly hid their smirks behind their fans, their eyes full of disdain. The more Shuanghua listened, the more unsettled she felt. Su Mingshi, you. Before she could finish her sentence, 3 dark figures suddenly dropped from the beams of the main hall. The blade's gleam split the candlelight. Screams erupted. The assassin charged straight toward the imperial consort. My body moved before my mind did. 16 years of survival instinct kicked in, sending me sliding from the chair straight under the table. My sliding shovel trajectory just happened to trip the ankle of the leading assassin. He crashed to the ground with a thud. The second assassin reacted extremely quickly, swinging his blade toward my back. Sparks flew. The blade broke. 3 layers of soft armor, worn in every season without ever being removed. That is Su Mingshi's bottom line as a person. The assassin looked at the broken blade and froze for half a second. In just this half second, I pulled the chili spray from inside my sleeve and sprayed it. The assassin covered his eyes with both hands, screaming as he rolled on the ground. The third assassin's blade was already at Shuanghua's neck. I toppled the table, charged forward, pinned Shuanghua to the floor, and sprayed another burst of chili spray. 3 seconds. All 3 assassins were taken out. The main hall fell silent for a good while. The emperor stepped out from behind the screen, first glancing at the assassins writhing and clutching their eyes, then at me, sprawled on the floor, face drenched in vegetable soup. Great. The emperor laughed heartily. A commander's fierce daughter, selflessly risking her life to save the empress dowager. No, I'm just running for my life. On that day, the emperor bestowed upon me the title Princess of Chastity and Valor. He granted me a golden plaque. He granted me a residence along with a deadly remark. This woman is a model for all the women of our great Chu and shall never leave the capital for her entire life. Shuanghua looked at the plaque for the first time. Confusion appeared in her eyes. This man, was he pretending, or truly afraid? For the truth behind the assassination at the palace banquet came to light 3 days later. My eldest brother intercepted a secret letter. The assassins were sent by the emperor himself. A drama from beginning to end. It was all a drama. The emperor intends to use the assassination attempt as a pretext to force father to surrender his military command and the authority over personnel appointments at the censorate. But an even greater conspiracy lies ahead. On the day the imperial edict arrived, the hall was in an uproar. To honor the emperor's magnanimous grace, 2 daughters from the censorate are specially granted in marriage to the North barbarians, to wed the northern border general and solidify the alliance. Marrying off to the North barbarians, the northern border general is a madman who kills without blinking and takes pleasure in flaying prisoners alive. This is not an arranged marriage, this is suicide. Father ripped the imperial edict in half on the spot. He had people move the coffin in the hall to the center, change into court attire, and prepare to die by admonition tomorrow. Mother didn't say a word. She turned and went to the backyard, sharpening the sword she had honed all night. Big brother goes to contact the old unit. Second brother is far at the frontier. The news hasn't arrived yet. Shuanghua stands in the courtyard, gripping the hilt of his sword, and me, I curled up under the blanket, trembling like a leaf. In the middle of the night, I reached under the bed and pulled out the last key. Tunnel No. 10, the ultimate escape route I had spent 10 years digging out alone, with just a shovel. The entrance is located in the dry well beneath the rockery in the back garden. The exit is in a hunter's shack 30 li outside the city. The entire passage is reinforced with wooden supports, with air holes every 50 paces. Even father does not know of the existence of this passage. I changed into my night clothes, shouldered my final escape pack, and crawled into the dry well. I crawled forward step by step. Halfway through, a dull tremor came from the ground above, the sound of horse hooves, many hoofbeats. I crouched beneath the air vent and looked up. Countless torches illuminated the street outside the censorate. The Imperial Guards, at least 3,000 Imperial Guards, surrounded the censorate to seal it off completely. And then I heard the sound of Frost Flower. She was dressed in her wedding clothes, holding a sword, standing at the main gate of the censorate. If you want me to marry, I will. Step over from my sword first. The commander of the Imperial Guard laughed. No one in the censorate will survive today. The sword has been drawn. Frosty Frost blocked the first blade, and the second blade cut a bloodstain across her shoulder. Father charged out and was pressed to the ground by 3 Imperial Guards. Mother's Qinglong Yangyu saber chopped 2 people down. But more rushed forward. Big brother was chained and kneeled on the ground, his forehead covered in blood. I lay on the tunnel floor, peering through the air vent at all this. The tunnel exit is just ahead. After one more quarter of an hour of crawling, I'll be out of the city, leaving the city and heading south. I've already bought farmland in the south and hidden the silver, change my name, become an ordinary person, live safely until old age. I keep crawling forward. I took 10 steps and then I stopped again. Her mind was completely occupied by the image of the bloodstain on Shuanghua's shoulder. She had been in the censor's mansion for less than a month. This family had failed her for 16 years, yet she stood at the forefront in her bridal gown. I crawled another 10 steps, stopped. Dad's crying voice came through the vent, muffled, as if someone had stifled his mouth. In his life, he has only cried in front of me. My fingers dug into the soil. The exit is just ahead. I can see the moonlight outside, the moonlight of freedom, the moonlight of safety. 1 foot of mine stepped out. Then I heard Mother's voice, coming from far behind me. Girl, it's good that you ran. It's good that you ran. With a knife at her throat, she was still smiling. I smiled, thinking that her little girl had finally run away. I stood frozen at the entrance of the tunnel. I closed my eyes and thought of the way father held onto my leg, mother chopping the door threshold, and eldest brother unpacking my bundle. And Shuanghua, the girl who always watched me with wary eyes, was at that very moment using her body to shield my family from a blade. I stood outside the city of freedom. I let out the loudest curse of my entire life. I fucking owe you lunatics. I turn around. From the bottom of my escape bag, I pull out my most prized possession, 10 enhanced storm of pear blossom poison needles, 6 homemade smoke bombs, 2 bottles of potent pepper spray, the full arsenal of the ultimate Turtle King. I kicked open the tunnel cover and burst out of the ground from right under the Imperial Commander's feet. This time, assuming she isn't running, I'm afraid of dying, but that doesn't mean I won't kill. 5. A poison dart hit the commander of the Imperial Guards right in the neck, his eyes wide open. He collapsed to the ground with a thud. Everyone looked at me as I emerged from underground with disheveled hair, face covered in dirt, holding a poison dart launcher. Another one who's going to die, Deputy Commander. drew his blade and slashed at me. I turned around and ran. While running, he threw out a smoke grenade. Yellow smoke enveloped the entire front courtyard of the Yusha mansion, making the Imperial Guards cough and cry, throwing their formations into disarray. This smoke was made by me mixing chili powder, sulfur, and lime in a specific ratio. It was originally used to cover my escape. I charged into the smoke, grabbing Frostflower by the collar. "Come with me, Su Mingxi. Didn't you run away, Les?" "Nonsense." I dragged her toward the dry well. On the road I was pulling Dad, she dragged Mom, and Big Brother himself followed along, tumbling and scrambling. The 5 of us jumped into the dry well, sprinting along the tunnel all the way. 500 steps later, the tunnel suddenly opened up. A brightly lit underground space appeared before us all. 6 stone chambers, a storehouse packed with grain, an entire wall of weapon racks, holding long knives, short crossbows, poison darts, slingshots, and caltrops in the corner. There is even a well and a simple kitchen. The whole family stood still. Dad's voice trembled. "Daughter, are you planning to rebel?" I pressed the frost on the stone bench, rubbed the dirt from my face with a sour expression. "I am prepared to survive after your rebellion fails." "When did you dig this place?" The old man walked around the stone chamber, and the more he looked, the more unnerved he became. "Since I was 6 years old, the day my father first carried a coffin into the lobby." The whole family fell silent. "You did it alone, for 10 years. Mother's voice was hoarse. Shuanghua suddenly grabbed my hand and looked at the wound on my arm that had somehow appeared. "You're hurt." "Trivial matters." She didn't speak, but took the ointment for sores from the medicine shelf and dressed my wound. Then she said, "Thank you, sister." This was the first time she called me sister. For some reason, my nose tingled with emotion. From the ground came the sound of the Imperial Guard searching the residence, but they would definitely not find tunnel number 10, because the entrance is at the bottom of a dry well. The hidden door in the well wall can only be opened when 3 specific bricks are pressed simultaneously. This is the result of 7 designs and 7 improvements. After a whole night of searching, the commander of the Imperial Guards had to report to the Emperor. The Censorate's entire family had disappeared without a trace. The Emperor flew into a rage and immediately declared the Censorate treasonous, offering 10,000 taels of gold as a reward to capture them. Dad grabbed a sword and rushed out. "Treason! I, Su Chongli, have been loyal all my life. How dare he tag me with treason? I'm going to fight him." I slapped the stone table with a palm. "If you want to die, fine, but don't waste the food I've stockpiled for 10 years. The whole family looked at me. "Listen to me now." I spread a hand-drawn map on the table. "We'll take the underground tunnel out of the city and head to the border to find Second Brother." The reason was simple. Second Brother had soldiers under his command, the border was far from the capital, and the Emperor's reach wasn't that long, and furthermore, I pointed to the escape route marked with red dots on the map. These 17 markers along the way are safe houses I've spent 5 years setting up in various locations. The whole family looked at me in astonishment. Father opened his mouth, but in the end, only one sentence came out. "Are you sure this child isn't really my own flesh and blood?" 6. It took 2 days to leave the city. On the night of the 3rd day, we hid in the first safe house 40 li outside the city to take a rest. This safe house is a small countryside courtyard I bought when I was 12 under the alias Su Xiaokao, and the cellar stores enough cured meat and water to last 3 months. Shuanghua laid that half-sealed blood letter on the table and looked at it again and again. This blood letter was given to me by my adoptive father before he died. He said it contained my origins, but only half of the letter. He didn't have time to give me the other half. I glanced at the yellowed piece of paper. "Shuanghua, give me the blood letter." She hesitated for a moment, then handed it over. I took a small bottle of iodine and a small bottle of rice water out of my portable medicine kit. First, I brushed the iodine over the blank spaces on the blood-written letter. Nothing happened. Then I brushed on the rice water. A faint bluish-purple font appears on the white paper, steganographic ink. Someone wrote another passage in the blank space of the bloody letter using steganographic ink that only becomes visible with a special reagent. I leaned in to discern it. In the 12th year of Yong'an, the Emperor sent secret guards into the Censorate to swap the daughter at the wet nurse's place. The true heiress was thus cast out among the common folk, to be used as leverage against the censor, if Su Chongli dared to remonstrate again. His true flesh and blood would be eliminated without a trace. Father snatched the blood letter from her hand, he read it 3 times, his hand began to tremble. It is him. From the very beginning it was him. Mother's knife fell to the ground with a crisp sound. All my family has been loyal and righteous, and he actually used my child as leverage. 16 years of Frostflower's suffering, roaming among the common people, living under someone else's roof, eating food from 100 households, wearing clothes from 100 households. It is not an accident, it is the emperor's work. Shuanghua clings to her mother, weeping bitterly. Mother cry too, father cry too. Big brother punched the wall with one fist, hitting the earthen wall and cracking it. I stood in the corner, pinching that bottle of iodine, watching my family break into tears. My nose stung badly after crying. Shuanghua looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. Su Mingxi, no, sister, I used to think you were so calculating, and now I think you are a good person with a deep scheming heart. I rolled my eyes. From now on, our roles are clear. You charge bravely into battle and slaughter. I'll be behind you, passing you knives, handling the aftermath, and running away. Shuanghua forced a smile through her tears. Depart at dawn the next day. By noon trouble struck. A team of fast horses appeared on the official road, not ordinary imperial guards, it is the blood droplets, the emperor's private assassination squad. 12 people, all in black. Retreat. I drag Shuanghua into the woods. Behind me, a flying dagger clipped off 3 branches. Big brother and mother cover the retreat, fighting as they fall back. I lead everyone around 2 bends, then kick aside a dead tree's base by the roadside, the hidden door. Go inside. This was an emergency connecting passage between safe houses along the route. Although only 30 paces long, the exit was hidden behind a rock face on the far side of the stream. After passing through the passage, I pulled the rope at the exit. A dozen pre-embedded canisters of chili powder inside the passage exploded simultaneously. The sound of blood dart assassins tearing at their throats with a heart-wrenching cough came from behind. Shuanghua waited by the stream. She waited for those assassins who had been burned to the point of losing their fighting ability to stumble out of the hidden door. Then she raised her knife and fell, clean and swift. Father looked at the assassins lying on the ground, then suddenly turned his head to look at me. Darling, these traps, just how many did you set up along the way? Not much. How much? There are 18 more ahead. Dad stopped talking. 7.5 months later, we arrived at the border fortress from afar. We could see that solitary city. The broken banners were planted all over the city wall. Outside the city, the enemy camps stood thick and dense. How long has the city been surrounded? Father asked an elderly refugee by the roadside. It's been half a month. The city is exhausted of supplies. General Su says we must fight to the death with the city. Another madman who wants to sacrifice himself for the country. How do we get in? Shuanghua looked at the enemy encircled like a tub of iron and frowned. The whole family looked at me. 3 years ago, when second brother and I came to the frontier, I dug a tunnel in the wasteland north of the city on a whim. The family was already at a loss for words. Eldest brother, why? Just in case. This tunnel wasn't long, only 200 paces. The entrance was beneath a fake burial mound in a cemetery outside the city. Who would ever dig up a dead man's grave? The exit is beneath the floor of the grain storage within the city with my whole family, right under the enemy's noses. I swaggered straight into the cemetery, lifting the coffin lid. I jumped into the tunnel, and when I came out I was already inside the city. Second brother's empty bowl clattered to the ground the moment he saw us in the granary. Dad, Mom, older brother, how come you all? He looked around, his eyes reddening. Then he saw the frost and frost flowers. Who is this young lady? Your younger sister. It's a long story. Shuanghua clasped his fists. Brother. The second elder brother finally looked at me. How did you get in? I dug this tunnel. Second brother paused for a moment, then smiled. I knew it. Back then you insisted on coming to the border checkpoint with me. I thought you were here to experience military life. I came to scout the place. The situation in the city is worse than expected. The garrison is less than 800, half of them are wounded. There is enough food to last only 3 days. Second brother pointed outside the city and said, the enemy general has issued an ultimatum, attack the city tomorrow, and if we fall, there will be a massacre. Dad draws his sword, fight to the last man and the last horse. Mother raises her knife, wrapped in horsehide and buried with honors, or to the ground, a horsehide shroud. Big brother clenches his fist, hold. Shuanghua draws her sword, kill. Here we go again, the scene of the loyal and glorious family competition. Second brother looked at me and said, third, I know you're afraid of death. You take mom and dad and retreat through the tunnel. I'll stay behind to hold them off. I looked at the exhausted soldiers on the city wall, then at the common people hiding silently in their homes, too afraid to make a sound, and finally at the family of lunatics in front of me who looked ready to die for their country on the spot. Then I unzipped my incredibly heavy ultimate survival kit, the one I had carried all the way from the capital to be precise. It was an arsenal. 20 gin of improved gunpowder, 30-time fuses, 100 crossbow bolts fitted with barbs, plus 6 barrels of super lubricant and 10 bags of itching powder. The family stared at me as if I were an arms smuggler. Why run? I stacked the gunpowder into neat bundles and looked up at my second brother. I've been hoarding this treasure for 10 years. Figured I should use it at least once. Just follow my orders. Shuanghua will lead the troops to lure the enemy from the front. First brother and second brother, guard the city gate. I'm going to do what I do best on the city wall. What is it? Set a trap. 8 in the early morning. The enemy beat their war drums. 30,000 troops pressed forward against the city wall. Scaling ladders went up, and the first wave of enemies began to climb. I had already coated the outer wall with 3 full barrels of super lubricant. The soldiers had just crawled halfway up, when their hands slipped and they all fell down onto the ground, fell all over the floor. They got up and continued climbing. Just as they touched the ramparts, fine powder rushed toward them. Itchy powder, inhaled through the nose. It triggers an unstoppable itch all over the body. The soldiers dropped their blades and frantically scratched themselves. They scratched and scratched until they rolled off the city wall. The people underneath were crushed as well, and got some itching powder on them. From 1 to 10, 10 to 100. The place below turned into a large-scale communal exfoliation event. The guards on the city wall were all stunned. Second brother's adjutant trembled as he asked, Girl Susan, what is this military tactic of yours? Escape tactic, render the enemy unable to fight, then run away. Only today. There's no need to run, it's to push instead. Shuanghua, in her red robes, stood at the city gate, holding a long blade. The enemy soldiers who had barely climbed onto the wall were knocked over and disoriented by itch powder and lubricant, having no strength to resist in front of her. Her swordplay was quick and fierce, clean and sharp. When she had cut down the 20th person, she shouted to me, Sister, on the left, received. I pulled the hidden rope on the left side of the city wall. 10 rapid-fire heavy crossbows, which I had modified overnight, fired simultaneously. The bolts, tipped with barbs and a slight coating of venom, fanned out across the left side of the wall. The enemy troops who climbed up were shot into pincushions. The battle had lasted for 2 hours. The enemy commander finally could no longer sit still. He personally rode his warhorse and charged over with his bodyguard unit. Everyone, follow me, crush this city. 50 paces in front of the city gate, I had dug out the ground. A thin layer of soil and turf covers it above. When the general's warhorse stepped on it, it collapsed with a thunderous crash. The horse and rider fell into a 30-foot deep trap. The bottom of the pit was covered with caltrops. The commander broke a leg on the spot, watching for the right moment from the city gate. Shuanghua grabbed a rope and swung down. A single slash. The commander's banner pole snapped. The enemy general has been captured. All the defending soldiers shouted in unison. Outside the city, 30,000 enemy troops initially saw their morale crushed by lubricant and itch powder, then were knocked out by poisoned arrows and traps, and the commander was captured alive, a group of dragons with no leader. Second brother decisively opened the city gates and led the remaining 300 cavalry to charge out. Shuanghua, Frost, followed closely behind, targeting 300 to 30,000. But the other side is no longer an army, they are 30,000 Pitiful people itching to die, a great victory. The enemy army retreated 100 li in defeat. The titles counterfeit princess and god of war true princess resounded across the land after this battle. Before I could even celebrate, news came from the capital. The emperor dispatched 100,000 troops, with the prime minister personally overseeing the campaign. The goal is not the frontier, it is this lonely city, it is us. 9. The expeditionary force of 100,000 soldiers will arrive outside the city in 3 days. Leading the troops is Chancellor Zhao Chongyi. Dad impeached his old rival whom he had been feuding with for 18 years, taking advantage of the fall of the inspectorate. This old guy killed off all of Dad's former colleagues in the capital. He rode on horseback and shouted toward the city walls, "Su Chongli, if you take your own life as an apology, I, the Chancellor, can ensure the lives of the people in the city. Otherwise, I will massacre the city." The wails of the city's residents came from all directions. They have just withstood the siege by foreign enemies, and now face the blade of their own court. Dad grips his sword, his face ashen. I know that look. He wants to sacrifice himself for the country again. I hold onto his sword hilt. Dad, give me 3 days. What are you going to do? The thing I do best. The next day I stood on the city wall, crying hoarse at Zhao Chongyi's army. Your Excellency, please spare us. My father went mad and betrayed the country. It has nothing to do with me. I've been a coward since I was a kid. You know that too. Zhao Chongyi watched my performance with great interest from horseback. Day 3, Shuanghua and I had a huge fight on the city wall. She curses me for being cowardly and dying to save face. I curse her for being unable to tell right from wrong, courting death. In the end of the quarrel, I declared in front of both sides that I would sever ties with the Yusha mansion. The affairs of old Su family have nothing to do with me. I am a fake daughter. I will surrender. Then I tied up my father hand and foot and pushed him onto the city wall. Shuanghua drew her sword to kill me, but was stopped by my elder brother. Zhao Chongyi was overjoyed. Good, open the city gates. I, the Chancellor, will personally accept the surrender. He entered the Wang city with 3,000 guards, swaggering proudly. The moment his horses hooves stepped into the Wang city, a dull roar boomed overhead. The 1,000-pound gate dropped, the front gate closed, the back gate closed. 3,000 guards and Zhao Chongyi were trapped between the stone walls of the stockade. Zhao Chongyi looked up, seeing me standing on the city wall. Zhao Chongyi, I have something to tell you. I am indeed afraid of death, so I'm used to taking out anyone who could kill me first. The embrasures on all 4 walls of the walled city opened simultaneously, revealing the dark holes of powerful crossbows. Zhao Chongyi's face was deathly pale. Shuanghua carried the knife and slipped inside through the side gate of the Wencheng. Su Chongli's daughter has come to settle the score. There was no suspense in the outcome. The prime minister's head hung on the city wall. 100,000 strong army, a dragon without a head. The vanguard turns traitor. The rear army routs. 3 days later, the 100,000 strong army either surrenders or flees, vanishing into smoke and clouds. 10 On the 7th day after the prime minister's death, father made the most difficult decision of his life. Put away the loyal minister tablet that had been kept in the living room for 20 years. Loyal minister. He had been a loyal official for 20 years. In return, his daughter was stolen, his entire family was raided, and the common people were taken hostage. Raise the flag of revolt. When those words left his mouth, it sounded like a bone had been broken. I copied 100 copies of the evidence from the bloodletter detailing how the emperor switched the infant. And overnight, I disseminated them through the intelligence network I had spent years building at great expense. Within 3 days, the news had spread across the 5 provinces. Within 7 days, it had spread throughout the realm. The world had long suffered under the tyrannical ruler. Various uprisings rallied in unison, but what truly allowed us to advance rapidly was not the manpower. I spent 10 years buying safe houses and hoarding supplies across Chu. These strongholds formed a complete supply line. From the border to the capital, one of my secret outposts was stationed every 50 miles. Grain, weapons, medicine, horses, everything was available back then. I set up these outposts as a means of escape. Now, they have been repurposed into strategic resources for marching and fighting wars. Daddy asked that question again. BB, How much did you spend in total, Dad? I invested all my 16 years' worth of red envelopes money, allowance, and the profits from secretly selling medicinal herbs. How much? Probably 40,000 taels. Father nearly lost his footing. The army swept forward with overwhelming force. A month later, they arrived at the capital city. The emperor closed the city gates, turning the situation into a trap for a cornered beast. The palace walls are tall and the courtyard deep. Although the imperial guard's morale is low, there are still about 20,000 of them. A direct assault would surely result in heavy casualties. Do not attack, I said in front of the wargame board. Why? Second brother asked. Because it's unnecessary. I unfolded the last map. The underground structural diagram of the palace is drawn above. When I was 14, I slipped into the palace for 3 days under the pretext of maid training. During those 3 days, I did not learn proper etiquette. I was surveying the foundation structure of the palace. After returning, it took 2 years to stuff a sufficient amount of gunpowder near several load-bearing pillars beneath the palace. Through the drainage ditch outside the city walls, you started burying explosives under the palace when you were 14. Even my older brother's voice changed. Back then I didn't want to blow him up, I just wanted to play it safe. If he wanted to wipe out my whole family, I wanted to prevent that from happening. In the middle of the night, I walked alone through the drainage ditch and slipped into the underground of the palace. I checked the fuse wires. Everything was in order. I did not light the fuse. Instead, I emerged from the drain outlet and appeared in the emperor's bedchamber. The emperor was sitting on his dragon throne, clutching the imperial jade seal in his hand. Beside him were 10 elite imperial guards. 10 blades were drawn at once at the sight of me. Guards, kill him for me. I raised the fuse in my hand. Your Majesty, do you know how much gunpowder you're sitting on? 300 pounds, enough to turn this palace and all the buildings within 100 jong into rubble. One end of the fuse is tied around my waist, the other end extends into the ground. You can have them kill me, but as soon as I let go of this rope, the flint connected to this fuse will fall. Let's go up to the heavens together. The emperor stared blankly at me. Are you insane? I'm not insane, I'm afraid of dying. So I don't want to fight, I don't want to bleed. I just want His Majesty to sign the paper. I pulled out a resignation edict from my bosom and placed it in front of him. Do you want to step down with dignity, or fly away in a blaze of glory? Your choice. The emperor stared at me for a long time. He finally picked up the pen. The sound of the imperial seal being closed was muted and heavy. 11. On the day the new sovereign ascended the throne, a spring rain fell over the capital. I stood on the throne hall wearing 5 layers of soft lamella armor, with a brand new duchess's ceremonial dress over it. I've gained 2 full circles in weight, but my sense of security is at its peak. The new lord is a virtuous prince from a collateral branch of the royal clan, recommended by my father and various righteous armies. The first edict, to restore the reputation of the censorate, to publicly reveal that Su Chongli was loyal and wronged. The second imperial edict, Shuanghua officially acknowledges her lineage, is included in the Su family genealogical records. Titled Protector General, and granted command of border guard troops, the first female general of Great Chu, Shuanghua, dressed in armor, stands straight with her back rigid as she receives the edict in the imperial hall. The third imperial edict, bestow honors upon me. Su Mingshi, New Jun looks at me with keen interest. You have made merits in saving the emperor, defending the city, and quelling the rebellion. What reward do you seek? The whole family is looking at me. Father thinks we should grant a first-rank title and imperial decree. Mother believes we should bestow a desirable husband. Eldest brother and second brother bet whether I would want gold or a house. Shuanghua didn't guess anything. She knows me too well. I dropped to my knees with a thud. Your Majesty, this humble daughter wishes to acquire the plot of land in the southern mountains. What for? To build a private bunker with a moat, 3 underground levels, and fireproof, gasproof, and earthquake-proof capabilities. The new emperor smiled, laughing heartily. He leaned back and forth. Very well. I shall grant you the title of Princess Anping. Bestow 5,000 taels of gold, and 100 bolts of silk. When I thanked him, I heard a murmur of whispering among the civil and military officials behind me. Princess Anping, quite suitable for me after the court session. Shuanghua waited for me at the palace gate. She pulled something from her chest. General seal. Sister, you keep this. I was taken aback. Your military power, my back, she said. From now on, I will fight the world. I'll leave the back to you. I didn't accept it. Looked at her for a long time. She stuffed the stamp into my hand and turned to leave. After a few steps she turned back. Don't lose it. I clutched the general's seal, still warm from my body, and stood on the steps before the palace gate. Suddenly, my palm felt searing hot. That evening, the imperial censor's mansion saw a joyful reunion. Father finally did something an ordinary person would. He chopped up the coffin that had been on display in the main hall for 10 years, strike after strike with the axe. He split it into firewood. Grandma used that firewood to cook a whole table of dishes: braised pork belly, stewed spare ribs, steamed fish, and oil-braised bamboo shoots, all my favorites, and all of them were dishes Shuanghua was trying for the very first time. She had grown up among the common folk and had never enjoyed many decent meals. Her mother kept piling food into her bowl, her eyes reddening. Her eldest and second brothers, flushed from drinking, kept saying, "Our third sister is truly remarkable." Father sat in the head seat, drinking cup after cup of wine in silence. As he kept drinking, he suddenly spoke. "Girl, Father used to think it was shameful that you were afraid of dying." I didn't say anything. "Now I finally understand. You're the one in this family who wanted everyone to live the most." He stopped talking after that, holding a wine glass. I stared blankly at the shattered coffin fragments. I picked up a piece of ribs and chewed for a long time. A bit salty that night. I lay in bed and stared blankly at the ceiling. This group of madmen, actually, they aren't that annoying. I turned over and stared at the moon outside the window for 5 minutes. Then I rolled over, got out of bed, picked up the shovel, and treaded carefully to the backyard. I have already drawn the master plan for the tunnel. Some habits are impervious to change. 3 years later, the censorate mansion has become the most eccentric residence in the capital. 2 beauties in one family. One is a national protector general who commands respect across the land and has never been defeated in battle. The other is the legendary Go King princess, said to have more secret passages at home than the palace has secret tunnels. Frostshine suitors lined up for 3 streets. All of them ended up with broken legs. A few did come seeking my hand in marriage. Most had their eyes on my wealth and the legendary blueprints for those survivors' god tools. I offered the terms for marrying into the family: wear 50 pounds of soft armor every day, participate in disaster drills each month, and dig at least 1 new tunnel every year. No one dared to accept, until that morning. An urgent military dispatch arrived from 800 li away. Unusual movements at the border. An unknown force has gathered a large number of troops and is advancing toward the frontier. The entire family instinctively shifts into combat readiness. Father changes into his court attire and goes to consult with the new monarch. Grandma took the green dragon crescent blade down from the wall. Eldest brother began counting the troops. Second brother sent word from the border that they had entered the highest level of alert. Shuanghua, carrying her blade and donning a red cloak, prepared to set off overnight, and I pressed the alarm for the whole mansion. Then I began to move compressed rations into the tunnel, busy for 3 whole days. On the 4th day, the frontier sent the latest news. It is not an enemy invasion, it is a diplomatic mission from a neighboring country, a large-scale academic investigation team. Their sole purpose is to learn the advanced city defense technology invented by that Duchess of Caution of Great Chu, including but not limited to super lubricant formula, chemical composition of itching powder, design plans for a repeating crossbow, tunnel engineering, and deployment schemes for Barbican traps. I was dumbfounded for a long time. Then, my merchant instinct kicked in. 1 month later, the first Great Chu Anping Defensive Engineering College officially opened. Principal, Su Mingshi. Courses include urban defense trap design, tunnel engineering, gas mask making, escape route planning, elective courses, soft spine armor cutting and maintenance, advanced pepper spray formulation, practical smoky bomb recipes. The tuition is outrageously expensive, but the applicants stretch from the capital all the way beyond the city gates because everyone wants to learn one skill, no matter what happens, make it home alive. This is probably the best meaning of fearing death. On the opening day, Shuanghua rushed back from the border that evening. The two of us sat atop the city wall drinking wine. She wore a red robe and carried a long blade. I wore 3 layers of soft hedgehog armor, and as usual the sleeves hid the violent rain pear blossom needle. The moon is very large, the wind very light. Below the city are 10,000 homes lit, bustling as if during the new year. Frostinus poured a mouthful of wine and turned to look at me. "Sis, are you still afraid of death?" I also took a swig. The strong liquor burned my throat, making my eyes sting. I touched the poison needle hidden in my sleeve and gazed at the lit lamps below the city wall. "Scared, I say, so, who dares touch you? I'll kill whoever does." Shuanghua smiled. She picked up her wine bowl and clinked it against mine. Below the city wall, eldest brother was chasing after father, trying to snatch his wine flask. Mother was scolding them for wasting good wine. Second brother's letter from the border has just arrived, saying all is peaceful there, and asking if the family could send 2 more gin of preserved fruit. I watch all of this, wearing my 3-layer soft hedgehog armor, with my storm pear blossom needles tucked away. Behind me is the 11th tunnel I've just dug. After some thought, I really should dig another new one. That's all for today's story. If you enjoy this video, please give me a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.